welcome back YouTube. So today was supposed to be a Cuba focused leg day, but unfortunately Cuba's a little bit ill, so I have been put in the place of Cuba, so I apologise if you were looking for Cuba and his leg day, because I think that he promised that he was going to do one, but unfortunately it's going to be me. We do the same session today, apart from he does do the hack squat on a different machine and a leg press on a different machine, but the setup, the tempos, the sets, the reps, all the same. Obviously I definitely feel like I give as much intensity as Cuba. Definitely try to give as much value when it comes to coaching and development and progress and things to do with bodybuilding as Cuba. So we're going to get on with it. The first, we've actually changed it. So we were doing the adductors as our first movement every single leg day, but we all used to come downstairs feeling like John Wayne walking because we had big pumped adductors, and sometimes it just took away from our kind of main movements, which is our hack squats, leg presses, because they were just ridiculously pumped. So we've actually put them to the end of the session. We've put then obviously moved everything else up a notch, and we actually found that the last session was way better, got way more of a pump absolutely everywhere else. The progress in the gym was actually way better, and obviously we know that we all need bigger adductors, but we're going to hit them anyway when it comes to things like leg press, squats, etc. So obviously we're getting a good hit with that. We'll top them up right at the end and just get on with it. So I'll talk some shit as I'm training, because that's just what I do. So yeah, going to get to it. So prior to every session, I like to do a little bit of a warm-up. I don't like to do a massive warm-up because then it just takes loads of time, which just gets a little bit boring, doesn't it? And sometimes when you go into your session, you've done 50 million different mobility movements, you feel a little bit tired. So I just like to do a couple of little things, get into my session so that I'm nice and focused and I'm nice and fresh, so that I can really get stuck into it and hopefully make some progress, even though I am quite largely into a deficit right now. As you can tell, I don't have as much of a moon face, so maybe it's prettier. It is a lot prettier, but needs must with bodybuilding. It is what it is. I'll be pretty when I'm finished. First movement is seated leg curl. One of the most common mistakes, well, I guess you could say a few common mistakes that we see with a seated leg curl is the first one being that I don't mean that you need to go really slow motion on your concentrics. You do need some aggression, but you don't want to be that aggressive to the point where your lower back is arching and your hips are driving back, because it takes a lot of tension away from your hamstrings. So you do want to almost think about a little bit of thinking about keeping your hips tucked underneath you whilst you drag the heels through, because that does allow you to keep a little bit more tension to your hammies. The other thing that people do is they lean over the pad. If you lean over the pad, you actually make it way easier. The whole idea behind doing movements, and I'm not saying that anything's right or wrong, but there's a way to do a movement, there's a way to make it harder, or there's ways to make things easier. If you throw the weight, if you lean forwards, etc., they're all ways to make it easier. Fair enough, you might get strong, but are you using as much or creating as much tension as you possibly can in the area that you want it? No. So make it as hard as possible, do it right, and you'll build some big juicy hamstrings. Or you'll try, like me.
Take it, take it, take it. Beautiful.
I've not even washed my hair in like 10 days and I've had to do this fucking video. So, I'm very sorry, but I have very greasy hair. So usually I wash my hair before I do video, but it's been dropped on me at the last minute. So, giving myself some dry shampoo. There's half a bottle on here. I should be sponsored by Basti.
I'm the one who gets the smell of.
Mark gets the wonderful smell of my greasy hair. It's not good.
Make the horse. Good truck head. There you go. Drop. More. There you go. Go. Yep.
One other pointer on a, well, lying leg curl or seated leg curl, Cooper always gets us to rotate our toes in. And when you get to work, they don't stay slightly internally rotated. If anything, they just come to more a neutral position. But if you actually turn your toes out when you do a leg curl, you make it way easier and you don't actually get that same feeling through your hamstrings as you do when your feet are more neutral. So try and think about it that way. A slight little bit of internal rotation, and then as you actually get to work, they will be more neutral.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Yours. Take it. Come on, mate. Come on. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Obviously, when you see Mark do his sets, you can see that on his first couple of sets, because we've got 4 here, that'll give him a force rep. Because I'm quite far into a diet now, I'm nearly 9 weeks into my diet, I think. I'm not really at a place where I can recover from things like force reps, so it will just take away from the rest of my session. So that's why I'm not going for the force reps just till I can go and just leave it there. Be smart, especially if you train to failure when you are in a diet phase.
And again, full rep. Open. Here we go. Take it. That's the rep. Beautiful. Control. Open.
In my intro workout bottle, I know that it's not a Train by JP water bottle, but it is really, if we just cover the sign. So in here I've got 30 grams of sustain. I actually have different amounts of carbohydrates in my drink depending on what session I do. Obviously when I'm in an off season, not so much, but whilst I'm in a deficit, obviously my push and pull sessions really aren't as taxing as what my lower body sessions are. So in my upper body sessions I have 20 grams of carbohydrates. In my lower body sessions I have 30 grams. I also have some aminos that I'll have halfway through my session, just obviously to have my protein spread out evenly across the day. It just helps to keep my digestion in a much better spot. So lots of people say that you can't bodybuild and coach and have both of them do really well. Obviously, I think it comes down to guess what you think is doing well, because having lots of clients and it not being of great quality potentially isn't great. I like to have a good amount of clients and say no if I feel like it's too many, to make sure that they do get a quality service and so that they can do the best that they possibly can. But one of the most crucial parts of being a coach and a bodybuilder is I love to give the feedback to my clients. So whether that be through check-ins or specifically even in training, because it reiterates to me exactly what I need to do as well. So it allows for me to become a better athlete because I'm constantly reminding myself of what needs to be done well and how to do those things because I'm constantly saying it to my clients. So I think that they can work both so well in synergy as long as you allow them to do that and you don't take on too much that you can't chew.
Okay, let's go. Yep. Go, come on. Full rep. Full rep.
Oh, what a bastard. I should get rid of my logbook because it's all falling to pieces, but I've had it for like 3 years and I feel like I can't get rid of it now. I feel like I've got to go through every page, fill it, and then I can move on. It's pathetic really, isn't it? It's that me and Mark were just talking about being a bit stereotypical. Sometimes we wear the same things because we've had a good session, or we'll wear the same hat or something just because it keeps it the same and you're gonna have a good session because of it. It's the same with the logbook. It's pathetic really. Second exercise is the leg extensions. Oh, actually before we move on to that, the first exercise was 4 sets. We worked, because we obviously have the prime machine and we have the ability to be able to adjust the resistance profile, we pretty much adjusted it to work every single range. Pretty much mid-range, shortened and lengthened. Now we're going to move on to the leg extensions, which is the second exercise. Here, pretty much similar to the leg curl when I talked about wanting to keep your feet neutral. So if anything, we try to think about keeping them a little bit slightly rotated inwards. It just allows for you to keep your feet, your knees and your hips completely aligned. The more aligned you can keep your legs, especially on any movement that you are working them, the more you are going to be able to keep tension into your legs, which is why you'll find even when I'm on a leg press, especially if it's for quads, obviously slightly different if it's an adductor or glute bias because you are wider, but anytime you are working the quads, the more you can keep your joints stacked, same on a shoulder press, a leg press, anything press, the better you're going to be able to keep tension wherever it is that you're trying to create it. Exercise number 3 is leg press. So I go for the kind of squat style press on this one, just because it actually really doesn't hurt my knees. A lot of 45-degree leg presses, just because of the force that's going like straight into your joint from that angle, just really hurts. So I really love this press. I feel like I can get really deep. I feel really safe, my knees feel good, so it's just a nice one to do. We've actually changed the order of the session because we were doing hacks and then leg press. Because I have quite bad knees, we want to try and take away some weight from what I was using on the hack squat, because any hack squat really just hammers my knee. So what we've done is we put the leg press before that, which then, because that's already been such a taxing exercise, the amount of weight that I can then put on there is a little bit less, meaning that then I give my knees a little bit of a break. So it's still as challenging, it's still as hard. If anything, it makes that even harder, the hack squat even harder, but it just means that I am being mindful of my knees and probably being a little bit smarter when it comes to my loading on the hack as well.
Yeah. Come on. Press. Nice.
The drum code takeover.
Let's work. There we go. Oh, good. Let's go. Strong. Yes. Good.
They were good. They were good. I'm very happy. Got an extra rep, so it's good. Especially because I am getting leaner. I am running a cycle of assistance at the moment, so obviously that's going to be a factor in helping to retain performance. But so does mindset, so don't just rely on that. We have reduced my volume a little bit in this session, just because I was doing 2 sets on the hack. But the last time I did my hack squat, the second set was a little bit shit. So when it comes to a point like that, when you are kind of experienced with training and you know when something's a little bit too much, as much as it pains you to admit it, sometimes you have to admit it to yourself. Cooper watched it and he was like, I don't think that second set's something that we need to do now that we're in a deficit. So we've removed it. Hopefully today we'll feel a little bit better, but who knows? Cooper did have me doing it double banded, not reverse banded, top banded the last time I did it. But I think that we're going to rotate that. We're going to do one session where we do it top banded, one session where we do it without the band, just to keep it, keep a little bit of variety in there, keep a little bit of differentiation. It'll keep them reps progressing. Whereas if I was to do that every 5 days, exactly the same, it just goes dead really quickly. So having that little bit of challenging factor with the double band is actually quite exciting. Saying that, I only did like 20 kilos aside, so it's a little bit embarrassing.
Load, back, load, come on. Yep. Yeah, come on. Push it up. Let's go. Come on. Yes.
What a bastard. Every time. We finished the leg press. I was very happy with the sets, they both progressed. Now we're on to the hack squats. We'll see how they go. Obviously my weights aren't going to be like what they were like before. Not that you care, but obviously I care, that's why I'm talking about it. It feels like a slap in the face when you have to take a load regression, but we care about it more than what anybody else does. As long as it's still doing the job and we're still making some good progress, but in a different way, that's all that matters. People say that getting strong doesn't matter, but if you are getting stronger or if you are pushing towards improving training, regardless of whatever that progression may be, you're always going to be improving. So for me, strength's one of those things. So obviously taking a bit of a reset with doing the movements in this order, and hopefully we'll be able to push the weight up with this.
control. Nice. Control. Control. Yes. Oh, better. Oh, focus. Same control. Strong. Oh, oh yes. Own it, own it. Yeah. Up. Beautiful. Yes.
I was really happy with that. I matched the reps the same as last time, and I took quite a nice progression on the leg press, so it felt good. I was definitely a little bit quick out the bottom. I definitely need to slow that down a little bit when I watch it back. I think I got a little bit carried away because I felt quite strong. So next time I do it, I just need to make sure that I get down, take a little bit of a mini pause, not like a full second, but just like and then go, just to make sure that I'm not bouncing and I can really use my quads. Seven, 2, drive, drive. It's a good job I'm strong, I tell you. Second to last exercise is the hip thrust. I used to be really bad on the hip thrust in that I just used to whack loads of weight on, try to move weight from A to B and not really keep a lot of tension in my glutes. When you do a hip thrust, you want to make sure that your shin stays vertical to the floor. There'll be a little bit of movement forwards and backwards with your knee in, and I mean like little, because if it moves too much, you will take your knee into flexion, meaning that then you'll use a lot more quad than you do your glutes. And I tend to find that that's when someone's using a little bit too much leg drive to try to be able to get the weight moving, whereas you literally just want to use your glutes. And if that means that you have to take off 1-2 plates, then so be it. When you do a hip thrust, you always want to make sure that your hips remain tucked so that your back stays nice and flat. If you arch your back, you'll lose tension with your glutes. If you're someone like me who does struggle with building their glutes, make sure you're doing them right. Some people may be able to build their glutes moving the weight from A to B. It's like I could do a leg press, probably half a range of motion, and build my quads, because that's one area that grows really well, not so much my glutes. So if you want to build them well, even if you are someone who genetically builds them well, do it right and you'll get it even better.
Yeah, take it.
Thank you. The range of motion isn't massive if you want to just bias the glutes. Obviously, what I'm doing is probably a bit more like a glute bridge rather than a hip thrust. A hip thrust you would get a little bit more range of motion, whereas I want to keep... I'm out of breath because I've just done a set, just to note. Yeah, the range of motion needs to be a little bit shallower if you want to do more like a glute bridge, which will keep more tension in the glutes than a hip thrust, which is deeper. a lot harder at the end. A lot harder at the end. On to single leg press now.
Nice. Come on, push it. Oh.
Oh!
Go on. Come on. Own it.
Oh.
I'll work with you. Come on. Don't let me touch. Fight for it. True heart. Beautiful rep. That's the fucking one. Yeah.
I can only have one 20 kilo plate at the side. It's pathetic really, but it does the job.
Nice, mate. Nice. Come on. Stronger now. Down. Come on then. Focus. Confidence. Drive. Up.
So that was to end the hard bit of the session. That was a glute and adductor focused single leg press. Yes, I'm going quite deep, so I will use a bit of my quad, but before I start each rep, I think about getting tension into my adductor, getting tension into my glute, aiming to keep the weight of the platform mostly into my heel as I come down, as I come up, as I come down and as I come up. And that just allows to keep a lot more tension into that glute and adductor. It feels absolutely fantastic, just can't go very heavy on it. Last exercise was calves. My brain's gone completely. It's completely gone. But I've got 3 sets here just to finish off the session. I do calves about twice a week. I do have quite good calves. There's some people that don't genetically have the best calves and they have to work really hard. Whereas I think because I did diving for so long and everything was on my tippy toes, I think that's where the calves came from. So it's not that I've not worked hard to get them, but it's just not whilst I've really been a bodybuilder. That is the end of my session. Feeling really great. Everything progressed really well. My hacks were pretty much the same in terms of reps and weights, but I was just speaking to AJ then. The hacks and the deadlifts are always ones that kind of stall or fall down a little bit the first for me, because I've got quite a little midsection naturally, and when I'm in my off season it's a little bit bigger. The first thing to go is literally my tummy goes. So I just feel like my brace is just so different. Doesn't mean that my sets weren't strong, they were still the same, but for me I just like to make progress, so I just need to remind myself that I'm pushing towards my show day right now and not focusing on off-season peak strength. That doesn't mean I'm getting weaker, but I just need to remind myself that it's okay, and it was still a really great session. But yeah, that's it. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to be on stage in about 12 and a half weeks, so follow along for the journey. We're going to bring a few vlogs out, a few more videos, and I'll probably just get leaner and more chiseled and go from off-season ugly to kind of pretty to quite disgustingly ugly. So it's the journey of a bodybuilder. If you want to look pretty, don't fucking do it. Bye.